Makakasama po natin ngayon sa araw na ito ang dating mga chairpersons ng MTRCB. Mula nang itatag ang Movie and Television Review and Classification Board, higit 12 na ang naupo bilang chairperson nito. At 3 po sa kanila ay makakasama natin ngayon. Please join me in welcoming Attorney Toto Villareal, former chairperson Consoliza Marisa Laguardia, and of course, Senator Grace Poe. Good morning po.
Good morning, Chair.
You know, I want to ask you all, how are you and how are you during the lockdown? Paano po kayo nag-survive nung lockdown? Senator Grace?
I think itong lockdown na to napilitan ako talagang mismong magsulat kung anong kakainin ng mga anak ko kasi we look forward to dinners together. And if I may say, I'm not trying to brag, but I think medyo na-develop ng mas mabuti yung pagluluto ko. Marami akong mga pinapanood ng mga recipe sa YouTube, tapos kinokopya ko. Syempre, madalas hindi 100% na gano'n. Pero masaya ako na may mga natutunan ako itong lockdown na to.
Senator Grace, papatikin mo kami niyan
So, anytime.
Pagka medyo okay na yung sitwasyon natin. How about Attorney Toto?
Well, always yung lockdown talagang nag-bog down ng maraming activities lalo na sa law practice. Pero I try to see things from a positive perspective at saka I try to optimize yung mentoring ko ng mga young professionals at saka mga law students sa realm ng both law and value formation. Dahil hindi na sila pwedeng mag-excuse dahil alam ko nasa bahay sila. So, meron akong parang pino-form na group, from something like 4, mga 20 na sila ngayon na nag-a-attend regularly. Yun.
Maganda, Attorney. How about you, Tita Mars? Paano ka nagsusurvive? I know you still go to the office.
Oh yes, oo. Ayun nga, parating naka-face shield, kompleto, alcohol, ganyan. Pero yung kahit pa na lockdown, I also feel blessed kasi nung lockdown, naging 2 pa yung apo ko. Yung isa ngayon 4 months and yung isa 1 year old.
Wow. Ang sarap naman nun. Ang sarap yan.
Kahit may pandemic, happy pa rin ako and I'm happy to be here with all of you kasi we represent the diba? Different generations of MTRCB.
Ako generation ko si Senator Magets pa kami.
Kaming 3.
Yan.
But, ano yung nami-miss nyo bilang chairperson ng MTRCB? Attorney Toto, ano yung nami-miss mo bilang nung ikaw MTRCB chairperson?
Well, overall, yung mismo yung trabaho and dealing with people, and the office, ganyan, yung openness to change, nakita ko kung paano sila nag-develop, yung mga skills biglang tumataas, ganyan. And well, overall, I cannot really pinpoint na parang kung ano yung na-miss because the entire MTRCB I miss.
Wow, that's nice to hear. How about you, Tita Mars? Ano yung nami-miss mo ng chairperson? Kasi matagal ka naging chair, di ba? Parang 7 years.
Oo nga Nako, ang nami-miss ko na sana wag ko nang balikan.
Yung baka malay mo.
Yung mga stress, tsaka adrenaline rush, pag budget kasi minsan alauna na ng madaling araw, nasa Congress pa kami. Tapos ako ina-anticipate ko agad ano kaya tatanungin itong congressman na to. Sana malaman ko in advance para ready ako. Yun, yung parang parating on the move pag budget. Yun ang
budget.
Talaga matagal, Tita Mars. How about Senator Grace? What do you miss being a MTRCB chairperson?
I think I really miss the people, the board members I worked with. I was very blessed to have such very proactive board members who agreed to disagree but always came to a very amicable conclusion. I miss just being with them, with our employees and staff. Alam mo, iba rin kasi yung mundo natin Sa showbiz tayo and the creatives. sinasabi ko nga na masaya naman ako sa Senado pero iba ang saya sa MTRCB kasi lahat ng klaseng tao at pananaw, iba-iba. Yung iba parang kala mo may topak, di ba? Pero depende naman because that's relative, di ba? What's crazy for one person is not necessarily crazy for the other, right? So keeping an open mind was really something that you had to have when you were there. But definitely simple meals together with the board members. Yun yung mga nagdadala ng mga pagkain, kanya-kanyang mga specialty. Ito galing Lukban, ito galing Bulacan. We were a mix of different from different groups, but we all got along.
Kasi parang isang pamilya. Pero meron sana ako idadagdag, pero mamaya na. So what were the challenges as Senator Grace that you faced during your term there?
The most difficult challenge? Well, reconciling disparate ideas. What was important that we kept focus on the main idea or the main principle of protecting the child. Kasi the child has to be guided. Adults can make their choices, but we need to be able to be like the parent for these children, what content to show. So I think one of my biggest challenges was the time when there was the Willie Revillame incident. They were apologetic, of course, but it also opened up a lot of debates regarding how children should be presented in television.
Tita Mars, ikaw, yung time mo parang marami din kayong, di ba, meron pang Supreme Court decision during your time, Tita Mars?
Ay, oo, yung sa, I think yung, yan yung parating nagmumura sa TV, religious program. So, yun. Parang challenge sa akin yun. And then, yung mga hosts parating, most of the time na sususpend sila dahil din sa, yung mga ganon. Parang like Grace, yun. Anong time shows yun, di ba? Parang parate akong bine-blame, masyado raw akong conservative, manang daw ako, to the point naglagay sila ng 3 angels na matatanda sa TV. Yung parang ganon, para magbabang yung pag may bastos na sinabi, yung ganyan. And yung most of all yung Da Vinci Code. Kasi lahat ng most of the countries ayaw yun ayaw ilabas, pero tayo sa Pilipinas nilabas natin.
Ikaw, Chairman Toto, ano yung challenge mo nung term mo?
Well, yung challenge siguro, dealing with all sorts of concerns and people. Everybody kasi has a story to tell eh. So you're dealing with people in the industry, in government, and the challenge was to bring out the best in them, yung mga views nila, come up with pag may problema, may reklamo yung taong bayan sa any particular show, we try to mediate and let the solutions come from the industry players themselves. So naging challenge yung how to actualize yung tinatawag na self-regulation.
And if there was anything maybe I contributed is we talked to the networks and we told them, we really have to promote self-regulation. And for us to promote that, at the beginning of every show, you need to show the rating of the program. If it's G, PG, SPG, para natututunan ng mga bata. Tapos sabi ko, dapat meron siyang signature na sound para pagka na-play yon, ma-identify agad. Oh, mag-uumpisa na yung programa, ito yung rating. So it's just, very, very practical, but I hope it will help in self-educating our viewers.
Ang susunod na programa ay rated PG. Patnubay at gabay ng magulang ay kailangan sa mga batang manonood.
Tita Mars, ikaw, yung time mo, ano yung mga parang naiwan mong legacy, yung pinaka-controversial during your time, yung greatest achievement mo nung time mo?
Nag-add kami ng board ng R13 kasi before PG and then R18 na, so nag-add ng R13. And this one, request din to ng mga producers. So, it helped. And si Senator Grace din, nag-add siya ng R16 naman. So, yun.
Kasi yung development talaga
Oo.
in those formative years, talagang may pagkakaiba di ba? From the 13 to the 16 to the 18, yung kamulatan parang ang bilis ng leap. So anyway, nilagay natin para we can be more inclusive, di ba? Kasi ang hirap na kunyari biglang hindi ka na pwede dahil 16 bitin ka, no? Bitin. So binibigyan din natin ng pagkakataon yung producers to have a wider audience at the same time limiting also the exposure of those that might be vulnerable to that content.
Right.
May mga kritiko sa ahensya na palaging sinasabi dapat na daw tanggalin ng MTRCB. What are your thoughts, Attorney Toto?
Well, there will always be a need for a gatekeeper of sorts or an empowering agent. But I'm a sincere believer in self-regulation. No? So yung ating sistema, no, na pag-introduce na mismong players ng industry ang bahala dun sa maghanap ng solusyon, that should be encouraged if at all. Yung government intervention, if at all, should be focused on that, okay, instead of yung sobra dun sa so-called policeman aspect. An open question that we always ask is, what will be its role in the so-called, if at all, sa OTT era, which is it's an open question. I myself I'm still studying the matter, no, kasi it's an entirely new field in the first place. Baka hindi, again, self-reg siguro ang ang magiging solusyon doon. Yun.
Senator Grace?
Sa TV at sa sinihan, kailangan pa naman kasi hindi, ang henerasyon kasi nagpapalit-palit so you constantly have to educate them, and there needs to be some sort of government intervention at least to promote the different regulating classifications. Now, I like Chairman Toto, I believe in self-regulation, but even in the US where they have self-regulation and in other countries, meron silang Motion Picture Association, okay, kung saan yung mga iba't ibang kumpanya ay miyembro. Dito sa atin, meron tayong KBP para sa mga radio stations. Ang problema, voluntary ito at hindi lahat ay nagmamagandang loob na mag-volunteer. Diba? So, in a way, sinasala ng MTRCB yan kasi, tinan mo, kung nagkaroon ng violation, di ba, sa ating constitution, di ba, bawal ang pornographic, di ba, inciting to sedition, o kung ano-ano, prurient interest, for purely prurient interest. Pag wala kang regulating body katulad ng MTRCB, lahat yan pupunta sa korte. Di ba? Lahat yan, it's a challenge sa court. Kasi meron tayong quasi-judicial function Which means na sinasala muna natin dito. Kasi kung hindi, magiging overburdened ng court. Maraming mga content ang hindi mapapalabas agad kasi merong TRO o may ganyan sa korte. Kaya in short, until we actually have an industry where everybody will voluntarily accede to this, let's say, organization like an MPAA, medyo kailangan pa natin ng MTRCB.
Tita Mars, do you agree with that, Tita Mars?
Oh yes, 100%. Kasi I believe na MTRCB is here and it is here to stay. Sana for good. Kasi tayo yung nagsisafeguard ng welfare ng audience, especially the youth. At nag-fuel din tayo ng yung sa industry, sa TV and movie industry, kahit pa sabihing may pandemic. So dapat nandyan pa rin ang MTRCB. Masabi ko lang, in 2005, yung local producers, parang gusto nila magkaroon ng regulatory body, parang private, parang silang magbabayad, ganyan-ganyan. Pero it didn't, hindi na pursue yun At ang MTRCB pa rin ang humahawak ng classification.
So what are your thoughts of MTRCB's role especially with this new normal in the streaming services or the OTT or video on demand?
Humingi ng meeting sa akin ng Netflix. So we met and they presented their way of classifying, and tandaan din natin na itong Netflix na to napapanood in even more conservative countries. Like for example, Singapore. I mean, they're very conservative also actually when implementing the law, and some other countries. So they're very particular about their own classification, that when you study it, it actually aligns with ours. They put the proper what do you call this, safeguards that for children, parents, what they call is parental locks, diba? Para children won't be able to access. In fact, publicly listed companies, big companies that offer streaming services are easier to regulate because they self-regulate precisely because they don't want to be embroiled in a controversy that will probably question, that will probably send their stocks plummeting, di ba? So nag-iingat din yung mga yan. Kaya sometimes capitalism is in itself a regulator because they want to make sure that they're in compliance with the government's rules. Otherwise, they might be banned from that area.
Actually, Senator Grace, they also met with us 2 years ago, and they asked us, we will follow, actually, in fairness to all these OTTs, that like in Korea, they review every material. Ang napag-usapan namin din, allow us to have a guidelines na hindi namin kayo papahirapan, just at least register with us first, so we know that you're doing business in the Philippines, and later on we'll do our own guidelines for us, all the stakeholders to agree on. Tita Mars, ano tingin mo?
Kasi Chair, yung Netflix, no? Ako nanonood din yan eh. Although may sarili siyang rating, depende rin sa culture ng country eh. Like the Philippines, sana kung ano yung culture natin, ma-gauge natin sa pinapanood natin sa Netflix.
Mahabang usapan to eh, kasi ang daming angulo na kailangan tignan. So, yung mga questions ng netizens, anyone, can answer. Do you think women are still objectified on TV or in the movies?
Well, there's no denying that at a certain, the criteria usually for accepting a woman in a role, dapat slim ka, maganda ka, ganyan. These are just natural stereotypes that are still occurring. If you watch several documentaries, or a lot of very qualified women, but the reality is it's still focused, of course, on the looks and youth. Okay, maraming mga magagaling na veteran actors and actresses na nasi-stereotype yung role. In fact, even the content that is being produced is focused on a certain demographic and age. Diba? Nakakalimutan yung iba. Kaya nga, in the US, magaganda kasi para sa mga senior citizens, or not even for senior citizens, even the younger ones find it entertaining. Meron yung kay Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin, and it presents women of a certain age still having an active lifestyle. Even in Korea, when they make teleseries, women that of a certain age are portrayed as leaders of the industry or active. Whereas dito, parang palaging ang role, sa bahay o ganon, pagka medyo nakakatanda na, we have to be able to rise above that stereotype, not just on women, but also for the senior citizens, that they have to be given more active roles, because the truth is, a lot of them are the ones raising the kids now. Diba? Sila talaga yun. At marami sa kanila, CEO of companies. The Philippines is one of the most supposedly open-minded when it comes to allowing women in industry. Let's focus on that narrative.
Correct. You're right, Senator. Tita Mars, Should an MTRCB chairperson be morally upright?
Ano kasi eh.
Bagay ka doon.
Well, syempre tayo yung head. Kung sakali tayo yung head, we should really be morally upright. Pero hindi naman tayo perfect eh.
Correct.
We have our own personal lives, and that should remain separate from what we do.
Oh. Ita Mars, may personal life ka, kwento mo sa amin ha, mamaya.
Secret.
Yan.
So, what are the characteristics to be an effective MTRCB chairperson? Kasi alam ko, hands-on ka eh. Kagrabe ka hands-on. So, I learned na dahil pag-upo ko, nakita ko yung mga iniwan mo ng mga programa.
Preparation. And related to that, I just like to second si Senator Grace. I actually loved it when we had budget hearings, no? Kasi doon ako natutong mag-prepare and to anticipate. Iba yung kultura sa House at iba yung kultura sa Senate. Yun. Yung isa rin.
Careful. Anong pagkakaiba? Di ba? Si Chair Rachel galing sa House.
Okay lang. Alam ko yan.
Masaya. Mas masaya sa House.
Yung sa syempre more people to deal with, ganyan, no? Iba yung sometimes may parochial concerns that ready ka dapat, no? At hindi ka yung parang sometimes condescending or whatever, no, ganon. So preparation is important. Number 2, people skills. Diba? We are not like a 1,000 peso bill that everybody will like when they see it and grab it. But we, as much as possible, we try to learn also. I think the secret there is to endeavor to know where people are coming from. Yun. And then, of course, preparation, yung research. Kasi doon mo matutunan, you need not do this. So for example, when Senator Grace set into motion already the matter of R16, okay, so the next thing is that we ventured already on the trailers naman. So we had also a parang advisory for the trailers, which we got from our matalinong panunood, so to speak, 7 years we go along. So siguro hindi na to related, no, pero tingin ko ang isang role rin ng MTRCB, educ, no?
Oh yes.
Kasi yung educ. Kasi yung sabi ni Senator Grace kanina, yung sa women, no, yung pag-object stereotyping, napansin ko na pag kunyari nag-i-evolve yung storya, kaya kasi minsan tinatanong ko kung may napatawag o ano bang hindi nyo ba pinag-isipan to from day one? Nagmamadali kami, Chair, kasi sabi ganito lang. So natutunan ko yung evolution ng isang palabas. Minsan nakikita yung palabas bilang isang diorama, di ba? So ito lang ang role para sa old man, itong role sa pag kontrabida, kailangan medyo hindi kagandahan yung muka. Ganyan. Di ba? Yan, yung mga kasi...
Maraming salbahing gwapo, di ba?
Yun nga pero bakit ganon, no? Yung, I live in the... Kasi when, as a child, I live in the era of Ben David and Bruno Ponsalan, yung mga ganon. No? So, so we have to get ourselves out of that rut, so to speak, yung stereotyping. Kung kaya't, nandun ko, for example, yung sa Magna Carta of Women, very clear yung isang section doon na sinasabing hindi pwede na yung stereotyping of women. Yun.
What are your guilty pleasures, Senator Grace?
Oh my God, marami. And I'm too guilty to mention them all. But, well, I watch a lot of streaming content. Well, ano pa ba? Kumakain ako ng chocolate sa tabi ng kama ko kahit anong oras ng gabi. At yung mga aso ko katabi ko kahit na
Pareho
minsan...
tayo. Oh my God.
Ano ba, what type of dogs do you have?
I have 8, Senator Grace.
Wow!
I have 4 chows. I
Oh
have,
my God, they're huge.
I have 3
Oh.
French bulldogs and I have 1 English bulldog.
Wow.
Wow.
Uy,
Sinong
pag may
katabi
nanganak
mo?
ka,
I
Sino
alternate.
kat...
Now I have here, his name is actually Bocelli, but now I call him Nicky Biden.
Oh.
Here with me, some here. And then, yeah, I like you also have chocolates beside me all the time.
Diba?
Excuse ko so I can drink a lot of water.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, you know what? I think talaga any pet, it helps distress, di ba? Kasi yakapin mo lang yan, feeling mo, kumakalma ka na eh.
That's true.
Pero,
Pet.
I'm sorry.
Senator Grace?
Well, I have 3 corgis. I have a Bichon, I have a Maltese, and I have a Belgian Malinois. So, anyway, pero pinakamaswerte si Chair Laguardia kasi siya hindi pet, baby talaga, 4-month-old apo. Aswerte, no?
Anong guilty pleasure mo, Tita Mars? Aminin mo na sa amin.
Kaya ako sexy, syempre. Ano ba yun? Chocolates din, tulad ni Senator Grace.
Ay, patay.
Ano lang ako, yung Nestle Crunch. Kasi crunchy rin siya eh. Kahit tsokolate siya, crunchy siya.
Oo, yun. Masarap yun.
2-in-1.
2-in-1. Chair Toto?
Napag-usapan niyo yung aso. So, ako naman gusto kong bumati kay Malakay, yung lab na tawag ko sa kanya kumpare. No? So, pag kumakain ako, we violate the rule of, di ba dapat sabi ng iba, wala raw dapat dog na sa tabi mo pag kumakain. Wala, magkasama kami. So, kung ano kinakain ko, kinakain niya rin.
What color is Malakay? Is he a black lab, yellow lab?
Yellow, dilawan. and nag-breed sa kanya si kasama natin sa MTR si Loy Gatica kasi she's a breeder. Yun.
Okay.
So, and then my going away present from Daisy ay si Inigo. Ano naman siya, pero si Terry, yung wife ko, mas close doon. Ano naman siya, Shih Tzu Pomeranian na hybrid. Yun. Yan. Kapon nagpag-groom sila. Yan. So mabango na naman ulit sila. And guilty pleasure, fishball, kwek-kwek. Yan, yung mga ganon.
Sarap.
Yan.
Sarap.
Yan.
Bigla ako nagutom din, ha? Chicharon bulaklak. Nako.
At saka yung mga Korean telenovela. Kasi you know what? Ang galing sa inaaral ko talaga yung mga Korean telenovelas, lalo yung mga action, tsaka kasi malinis eh. Pwede sila mag-portray ng intense love or whatever without even showing flesh. It's an art form eh. No?
Oo.
Yan. So favorite ko ng mga Vagabond, Partners for Justice.
Ako
Gusto ko yung mga
rin.
law. Oo.
Gusto ko Vagabond, COS. Maganda yung dalawang yan.
Grabe yung Vagabond. Malalaman mo lang kung sino si Vagabond. Nasa 12th episode or shorts. Ang galing ng pacing at saka character development.
Meron naman yung season ng Vagabond.
Sabi raw magkakaroon kasi yung oras nila nag-fan sorry. Kasi yung schedule ng I forgot pero yung kay Bay Susi they were trying to match they're matching it but there will be really one raw. But Step Up had to be Startup had to take Bay Susi's schedule yun.
Maganda din yun.
Tsaka yun yung ko pala isang guilty pleasure pag sa Spotify pag nagda-drive yung soundtrack ng Startup.
Maganda pala yun. Makikinig nga ako doon.
Oo, ako rin.
At saka kampi ako kay Good Boy hindi ako doon sa Pogi.
What's your wish for MTRCB, for the TV and film industry, especially now na maraming pinagdadaanan at naapektuhan ng ating mga kasama sa industriya nitong pandemya? Ano yung wish ninyo at ano yung tingin ninyong dapat gawin kung kayo ang chairperson ngayon ng MTRCB para matulungan din sila?
Mars.
Tita Mars?
Pinasa.
Nag-iisip talaga, no? Kasi, even before the pandemic, Chair Rachel, no? Parang napag-uusapan na yung sana makapag-produce ng film ang MTRCB. Pinag-uusapan niya nila nila Tita Glo, Sevilla, yung mga ganun. Sana makatulong tayo sa mga, well, yun, sa mga producers, sa director. I just don't know how in producing or educating. Basta tulong, yun lang.
Actually, in the Senate, we passed about 13 billion in packages
Wow.
for direct support, for those that are displaced workers, and including, that's in Bayanihan 1. That includes those from the creatives. Of course, that's not enough. Okay? Kasi hindi lang naman ang creatives ang nawalan ng trabaho. I know there are 400,000 direct dependents on the film and audio-visual industries. You bring in about more than 1 trillion to the national to the economy, at least the creatives. At lahat yan, hindi lang movie, pati yung mga live performers, apektado lahat yan. So one of the resolutions I filed is to direct the committee to look into what are the possibilities now of having a guideline for the new normal in the creatives industry. Like for example, paano yung mga bata? Kasi ngayon bawal sila magtrabaho di ba? Hindi pwede magtrabaho ngayon yung mga bata dahil nga sa dollar requirement at may pandemic. So paano na ngayon yan? Yung mga sobrang mga senior citizens then very limited. So those things have to be threshed out na pwede silang payagan under certain conditions. But my appeal always to my colleagues in the government is that as we try to find a solution, let's not overburden the industry with too many regulations.
Yep.
Di ba? Okay naman na payagan natin sila under very, general guidelines without being too restrictive na kailangan pag pumunta ka sa isang lugar, ipapaalam mo sa agency na pupunta ka doon para mag-shoot. I mean, it's enough na nakapag secure ka na ng permit doon sa local government doon. Di ba? Kasi kung pupunta pa sa MTRCB para sabihin, pupunta kami Pampanga o kaya pupunta sa FDCP, pupunta kami Pampanga, napakahirap ng compliance because as you know, last minute nagpapalit-palit ang location.
Yeah, tama yon. Para ngayon pa na ang daming kailangan ng yung ang daming costs also Diba? Dun sa mga, because of the mga PPEs and all. So, as ang dami pang questions, but I want to allow naman like Tita Mars, our guest, to ask the other chairpersons questions that umpisa natin, like Tita Mars. And meron ka bang gustong itanong kay Senator Grace Poe?
Yan na naman, nag-isip.
Siya talaga pinapasahan.
Di naging chairperson ka and now senator. Ano yung parang, shall we say, na ano natulong sa'yo ng MTRCB sa work mo ngayon as senator? In terms yung sa trabaho, meron bang similarity? Ganyan?
Alam mo, that's a really nice question, Chair Laguardia. Alam niyo po, sa MTRCB, iba-ibang klaseng tao kasi nasa board mo Meron tayong pare, meron tayong aktivista, meron tayong basta kung ano. Okay? Nako, labo-labo yan. May abogado. Parang senado rin yan. No? Marami sa amin galing sa iba't ibang backgrounds na nagsama-sama. Hindi pa kasama dyan yung mga constituents namin na marami ring pasaway, di ba? At saka siguro, sa kakapanood din natin ng pelikula at saka sa pakikitungo natin sa tao, alam na natin kung sino mga nagsisinungaling. Di ba? Para bang, ay nako, tigilan na ninyo yan. But I've learned to be very patient when I was in the MTRCB. So I think that, and I guess earlier your question is, what traits should a chairman have? For me, number one is open-mindedness, fairness, and of course, being able to be as true as possible to the guidelines that are set. Kasi diba, we each have our own moral standards. That shaped by our religion, by our environment, etc. So para we can become objective as much as possible. Parang kami, ano ba nakalagay sa batas? Hindi as much as possible, let's stick to our true understanding of it. Otherwise, masyado may kanya-kanya tayong pag-ano.
Correct.
Ako naman magtatanong kay Chairman Laguardia.
Yan.
Sige, Chair. Alam mo kami ang bait ni Chairman Laguardia because when I became MTRCB chairperson, she was very sweet to me during the transition period. I have high respect for her. But I want to ask, what have you done? Parang, what's your secret that you maintained a youthful glow and you're still, as beautiful as you were? Meron ka bang inspiration na yon?
Yan.
Ano ba? Kaya nga, I love you talaga, Senator eh.
No, that's the truth. Hindi ako nagbobola.
Dapat. Ano kasi, yung parang, lalo na ngayon, parang hindi ko na pinoproblema yung tomorrow. Yung ngayon lang, I live for today only. Kasi sa age ko, senior citizen na ako. Parang I live for today. I don't want to worry about tomorrow. Tsaka ini-enjoy ko lang yung family ko. That's my secret.
Oo nga. Maganda yon, Tita Mars.
Totoo.
Oo. Meron ka bang tanong sinong may tanong kay Attorney Toto? Pero bago nang i-add ko lang kay yung sinabi ni Senator Grace, a-add ko lang doon yung patience. Kasi nga, marami tayong board members na nanggagaling sa iba-ibang, iba-ibang pananaw nila, iba-iba yung kinalakihan nila, iba-iba din yung mga ugali nila. But like you said, that we just have to follow what's written in the law. Basta doon lang tayo babalik at babalik. I don't think we'll ever go wrong.
Ako may tanong kay Chair Mars rin. May tanong ako. Oo.
Ano yan, idol?
Yeah. During those years when you were chair, you perhaps of all of us, you're the most litigious chair, no? How did you meet, not being a lawyer and yet you were put in that position? Paano mo dinala yung sarili mo at paano ka nakapag-cope dun sa mga legal challenges all throughout your stint as chair? Alam ko, hindi ko nababanggitin yung mga kaso, pero landmark, Chair Mars, yung mga kaso mo, ibang klase.
Kasi di ba sa una, sa board naman meron din lawyers. Kaya they help me also in deciding kung ano yung tama. Yan. And kasi I've never been a leader before eh. Nung head ako yun na yun, I came from middle management of PNB. So, wala akong konsepto sa pagiging leader. So, kung ano lang ako, nung head ako, yun na lang ako talaga. Yung minintain ko na ganun lang yung sarili ko. And dahil nga new ako dun sa trabaho ko, I try to remain focused. Tapos yung pasensya. Pag yung pasensya na yan, binibit-bit ko yan sa restroom. Doon ako sumisigaw. Yan ang pasensya ko.
Kaya pala may crack doon sa CR mo, may mga crack.
Pero alam mo, kung hindi dahil kay Chair Laguardia, walang building yung MTRCB. Number one. Kung hindi dahil kay Chair Toto, hindi mai-improve ng ganon. Kasi ako, kung anong pinamana sa akin ni Chair Laguardia, I didn't have time. I was just there less than 2 years. But Chair Toto, with the help of Lizelle, remember?
Right.
Oo, and Manette, Dairit.
Yes.
Lahat talagang state of the art yung ano ninyo. So, maswerte ka, Chair Rachel, na silang dalawa ay nauna. Kasi talagang, kung hindi, ano ba yung mga offices ng MTRCB noon, di ba? Parang hindi yata masyadong magaganda.
Sa totoo lang, nung na-appoint ako, wala akong, yung expectation ko, nung pumasok ako doon sa opisina, sabi ko, okay pala. Kasi iba yung nasa isip ko, tapos may elevator, maganda yung office, but then, I didn't have to change anything actually. even dun sa mga polisiya, sa mga programa, like I said earlier, paulit-ulit nila sasabi, what legacy do you want to leave? What do you want to change? There's nothing really much that needs to be changed. I mean, thanks to all of you, our bosses, the bosses of MTRCB before me. Totoo po yan. Kung meron, yung mga didetalye mo lang ng konti. Like for example, yung family summit, minove lang namin sa Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, but it was already in place. Yung ganon. Siguro ngayon, the challenge really is for that, what we are going to do with this new normal in terms of the OTP and others, which would be another episode. Pero itong, yes, Senator.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Senator Grace.
No, I wanted to we should acknowledge also. Actually, Chair, even if this wasn't your real plan to be in the MTRCB, you've been doing quite well, very low key, but you've maintained the peace in the industry. Because kahit na may mga controversy na ganon, napapansin ko sa'yo, without fanfare, nahuhupa agad, and you're able to bring them together. That is quite a skill and of diplomacy, and I think that it's very underrated, but you certainly have done quite well.
Thank you, Senator Grace. And thank you also for, I always remember the good words you had for me before that I was appointed. I will never forget that. I also would never forget, our moments together, in the province, so many other places.
Pangasinan.
And of course, yung time namin ni Attorney Toto, yung I have a certain special relationship with each and every one of you that I will never forget. Wherever my career leads me, I will never forget this special bond that I have with each of you. Ito,
pag bumalik ka sa Congress, tataasan mo yung budget ng MTRCB para mas sa movie industry. Okay.
Chair,
yes, Attorney.
Yes, oo. I just like to siguro kasi we might be winding up na. Kasi nabanggit nga ni Senator Grace yung mga board member ko ibang klase yung I have to hand it to them that they were all active in the kumbaga expertise or competence nila. Yung pagbubuo lang ng yung digital theater na merong 3D.
Of course, yes.
Yung the likes of Manette Dairit, si Alan Bengson, and sila Rizel, they would go to yung kung saan yung mga, yung kung saan kikita itong mga to, they would really study, etc. Si Boyet Del Prado, he will take pains to do all the mga legal stuff. Everybody, without any exception. So to a great extent, actually not certain extent, I was so fortunate that they were also very active and at the same time open, because one of the things na sinabi sa akin ni Senator Grace is you will be encountering different personalities. Yan, ganyan. So at saka kasi si Senator Grace is a good judge of character. Yan. Whenever, why do you support Senator Grace in her endeavors? Because she's a good judge of character. She chose me. Biro lang yan. Okay. Kasi ganito, naalala ko, I won't name names, pero sabi ko, alam mo, meron isa sa atin, bombastic. Ano gagawin ko do? I-tap mo siya sa lahat ng mga bombastic na bagay. So, true enough, I had that fellow who's a good friend of mine to do only bombastic matters. And it helped. There was order in the board meeting. Yung board meeting pala, isang pinaka-problem ko, nag-adjourn na ako, ayaw nilang umalis. Kasi nagkikwentuhan pa, nag-ano pa.
Masaya.
Masaya.
Dapat tayo dyan episode kung pag-uusapan natin yan. Kasi maraming masasabi. The time is so limited. There's so much that, that we want to share. And ang dami pa actually tanong, hindi ko na lang tinanong kasi I know that all of you have other things to do. And lalo na po sa Senado din, ang dami din pong dami pong talagang sunod-sunod ang mga Zoom meetings dyan. Diyos ko, hanggang madaling araw. But I want to thank you so much. I know that lalo na sa panahon ito, kahit sabihin mong Zoom, mahirap din to gather all of you together. So Thank you. Thank you, Attorney Toto Villareal. Thank you,
Maraming salamat.
Laguardia,
Thank you for this.
Senator Grace Poe. Sana sa susunod, mas marami pa tayong mapagkwentuhan kasi alam ko marami pa tayong hindi nasasabi. And to our viewers, if you have comments, questions, and suggestions, and for our future topics and episodes, we would be happy to hear from you. You can follow us on our Facebook page, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, MTRCB UNCUT. This has been Chairperson Rachel Arenas. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again to a non-holds barred conversation.